I've covered hundreds of murder stories. They're all bad, they're all tragic, and they all have an impact on all of us. But there are just some that rip your heart out and get you absolutely seething mad. Today is one of those stories. A newlywed groom wakes up with his beautiful pregnant bride, goes to get his morning coffee. He's jumped, robbed, shot, and killed. And the alleged killer? No remorse, smirking on his way into the courtroom. This guy, the worst of the worst, but not eligible for the ultimate penalty because he's just 16 years old.
Simeon Adams surprised everyone this morning. Adams laughed and made no attempt to evade the attention. He even flashed a smile at reporters despite wearing handcuffs and a bandage from his last violent run-in.
You can see Simeon Adams and another suspect confronting Nathan Travisano before he was murdered. Investigators say it was what Adams had on that morning that helped them put two and two together.
In the video, one of the suspects had relatively distinctive clothing. It is also set forth that statements have been given by witnesses implicating Mr. Adams in the shooting.
We have charges against this young man, and hopefully we'll get more information to make sure that he goes to jail for a very long time.
Meanwhile, Travisano's sister is still trying to process the murder.
It's just senseless and shocking, and it's just not right.
We spoke with Travisano's father-in-law. His daughter, Jennifer, is trying to recover. She's staying with family and focusing on her studies as a physician's assistant and ignoring Simeon Adams' latest controversy.
Let's talk about this case. Let me bring in HLN law enforcement analyst Mike Brooks joining me here. Mike, mad is just I think a mild way to put it. Look at the smirk. Look at the look on his face.
It's like to knock it right off. Oh, every time I see this, Vinny, it just gets me so pissed off. I just want to grab him by the throat and shake the hell and beat the hell out of myself.
And here's the problem. And he's 16 years old. We're going to get into his history in a moment.
Yeah.
But for folks who aren't familiar with the story, let's begin with the videotape. And we've got the videotape of the surveillance video that caught him stalking his victim. Let's take a look at it. Do we have it? Here it is. Okay, yeah. So this is the surveillance video. Here you see the victim walking to get his morning coffee.
It does it every morning.
He is being stalked.
Here comes a predatory animal. Yep.
Then the video, he's walking back this way. Again, that's the victim. And again, here comes the now murder defendant as he follows him. And he's got a little bit of help with him over here as
lookout.
Well.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they're going to push him this way and in between some buildings, and that's where he ends up getting shot and killed. And, Mike, let's take a look at his rap sheet, because I think that's a big part of this story. He's only 16 years old.
Unbelievable.
But since the time he was 9 years old, we've known this is a bad, bad dude. Over the last 6 years, 29 serious violent crimes, Mike. But only 50 days behind bars.
Right.
Over the last 6 years. He's 16 years old. This all started when he's 9 years old.
Exactly. It started on this same street, MLK Street in Indianapolis, throwing chunks of concrete off the interstate, off the overpass interstate of cars. He could have killed somebody then. I've heard of people getting killed by something coming through the windshield. But only 50 days behind bars. What is wrong with our criminal justice system for juveniles?
The problem is it's the juvenile system.
That's exactly right.
Let's bring in our dream team. We've got with us HLN legal analyst, criminal defense attorney Joey Jackson joining us. Also, radio host and former criminal prosecutor Dan Shore joining us as well. And this is always a touchy subject, right, when we talk about juveniles, because, hey, they're just kids. We can't lock them up forever. But there's a big difference between forever and just 50 days for 29 serious violent offenses here. Joey, what's the solution?
You know what? It's a really difficult scenario. And, you know, I know you like to focus on victims all the time. And when you look at the victims here, it's just tragic. A dad-to-be, you know, just newlywed. It just has all the makings of something that just tears at your heartstrings, and it's just deplorable. We could talk about a lot of things, Vinny. We could talk about it starting at home. We could talk about schooling. We could talk about socializing and friends and being with the right people, so that a person like this, if you can call him that, is not created to do such heinous things. And then then finally, Vinny, to get to the point you were making earlier, because I know viewers are concerned about the death penalty issue, it can't be imposed. Roper versus Simmons, of course, 2005 United States Supreme Court case. If you're under 18, you're not eligible to the death penalty. So I hope there are solutions so that people are not looking like this and grinning and mugging for the cameras after they do something so heinous. But certainly there needs to be punishment imposed. It has to be severe, and it has to deter other people from engaging in this vicious criminality.
Dan, I spend time in the juvenile system, not as a juvenile delinquent, but as a prosecutor, and I know that there's such limitations on what judges can do. And it's always, it's a closed proceeding. You go in, and all you hear about are all the problems that the child has, that this is, you know, he's had this tough break, that tough break. But there's a whole bunch of victims along the way. Here, though, you're talking about 29 different times in there. When does our system wake up and say, okay, something's got to be done? Okay, yeah, you want to help a child, but you got to protect the rest of society.
Right. There's two separate issues here. One is at one end of the spectrum where you have people who just make mistakes in their youth, and you don't want them to have their whole lives ruined because they committed what might be a minor crime. At the other end of the spectrum, you have serious public safety threats who are repeated violent offenders who are under the age of adulthood, but they need to be treated like adults when they are hurting people, hurting adults, killing adults or children. Here, this person is seriously threatening society, destroyed a family, killed a dad to be here, and he can't be treated the same way we treat someone who might have committed a minor crime, and we don't want them to ruin their lives because they're too young.
All right, this is what I want to do right now because this is important, and I want you to show the wall over here. Show the wall over here, because we're going to show you a picture in a second, okay? Because, you know, when you talk about the juvenile system, you talk about, oh, you know, this kid had a tough upbringing and everything else. I want you to take a look at a picture right now, okay? Because there's a little girl. There's a little girl right here who's not going to have her dad, okay? This little girl is going to grow up without her father. What's her life going to be like? And it shouldn't be that way because we knew that this guy was a bad apple 29 times. But again, our thoughts and prayers go out to Mom and to the little baby girl who's not going to know her dad.